Hello everyone and welcome back to a best-of-3 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Blackburn. Spotting right here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Terran SCVs from South Korea, we have none other than Cure. And his opponent in the bottom right, playing here with the blue Zerg drones. Likewise also from Korea, we're looking at soO's main hatchery. Alrighty, so soO versus Cure. Now, I think we all know that Mr. Cure is amazingly good at this game, right? So, as of me making this video, according to Aligalek, Cure is the rank 7 in the world overall. And while for the better part of the last decade, he was very well known for grinding online tournaments, participating in practically everything under the sun, he also won the GSL Code S last year, which really solidified him as one of the very best Terran players in the world. The thing is, soO, in my mind, is still very much so a wild card. So he just came back from his mandatory military service about a month or so ago, and while he was one of the very best Zergs before leaving, for the vast majority of the Korean pros, when they do decide to come back, which many of them don't, but when they do decide to come back, they take a while before they get back to their previous level. Sometimes a year, sometimes like a year and a half, sometimes they never get there. But soO seems to be steadily climbing through the ranks once again, so he's played quite a few tournaments games since he came back, right? And he's already considered to be the rank 18 in the world once more, which is kind of insane, right? Kind of impressive. So I think that soO versus Cure will probably give us a good understanding of where Mr. soO is currently at skill-wise. And I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two because of it. Now, Cure, of course, doesn't really play a very spicy style of Terran. Like, a lot of players, when they want to get better at Terran, they will study games from, for example, Bjorn or Maru or Clem, right? And while I do think that's a great idea, when it comes to, like, straightforward gameplay, you probably want to be studying Cure's replays instead. Because the thing is, if you try and copy Bjorn and Clem's playstyle, for example, you kind of rely on being really good at micro. And while that's definitely something you can practice, one of the reasons why Bjorn is capable of doing the builds that he does is because he doesn't really die to anything stupid, playing literally just Marines, right? And it's not an easy playstyle to copy. So I think if you're looking to improve, studying Cure's replays is a really good idea. He doesn't really have the best micro in the world. He doesn't even really have the best macro in the world either. But like his decision making and just the way that he approaches the game is extremely solid. Okay, well, that's some clean micro right there. Getting 2 hits right there. 2 hits of mental damage done to the Zerg already. Losing that is not the biggest of deals, but it's certainly not nice, right? He killed 2 Zerglings right there, which is nicely done. Okay, the Reaper's still roaming out here. Oh. Okay, so even though Mr. soO ended up bruising that Reaper quite a bit, it would have been a free creep tumor. He decides to go double inject and then into 2 more queens. He's also got 2 drones on gas. Okay. I'm pretty sure that this is the very quick lair opener that we used to see like 2 to 3 years ago. This is something that Cyril played back in the day, but I haven't seen this build in probably about 2 years. It's really fallen off in popularity. Yeah, there's the lair. Look at that. 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the lair. It's ridiculously quick. The problem is, right, so most of the time with an opener like this, you go very quick Spire and then you get a bunch of mutas out. The thing is, after a while, Terran players figured out how to play against this. And the way you play against it is by having the right units at the right time in the right place, right? Not easily done. But assuming Cure doesn't take a whole lot of damage against the initial influx of mutas, if that's what it is, I think it is. He's going additional gases right now. We'll go, if he takes these gases in the natural too, I think it's definitely mutas. Anyways, if Cure responds to it accordingly, he should be in a great position. So Cure has already, he's already finished up the 3rd command center by the time that the 3rd base of the Zerg player started. That is a very nice advantage for the Terran player to have. Generally speaking, the rule for Zerg is to basically take the amount of bases that the opponent has and then 1 more. So if you're going up against 3 base Protoss, you want to be 4 base Zerg. If you go up against 5 base Terran, you want to be at least 6 base Zerg. At this point, there it is. We have 4 minutes and 20 seconds on the Spire, which is quite nice. He's going to be able to pump out a bunch of mutas all at once, and it's going to give him full map control and all that, but worker-wise, and income-wise at the very least, I don't really like this all too much right here for soO just yet. Anyways, we'll see. Yeah, those mules are going to have a grand old time. It's not the end of the world either, but it's one of those, like, more risky starts. Also because mutas are very flimsy units. They're kind of like paper planes, right? if you don't pay attention to them for like a split second, the Terran might accidentally get a couple of Marines underneath, or maybe you fly into a Widow Mine, or there's suddenly a Thor, or there's a lot of different ways in which you can, yeah, very easily lose that map control. I guess that's really the big advantage. You can take full control of the map and do whatever you like. Despite the fact that Cure hasn't scouted out what's happening, he did see that it wasn't roaches, right? He knows at this point, if it was a roach push, it would have already come across the map. So, if that's the case, I guess that only mutas are really the viable option. I would like to see him start up a couple of missile turrets, though. If he starts up missile turrets here in a sec, he knows exactly what he's going up against, despite the fact that he hasn't scouted it. Then again, this is also a build he probably hasn't played against in a little bit. Okay, there's the 6 mutas. We really need to start up missile turrets. Cure? Hello, Mr. Cure. Okay. There's the bailing speed as a follow-up too. Upgrades here, obviously, for the Zerg are going to be extremely late as well. So really, the only advantage you have is having a bunch of mutas out. Okay, so there's the missile turrets. Yeah, look at that. So despite the fact Cure... Yeah, okay, so I was a little bit worried here, but this is perfect timing. Despite the fact that Cure didn't scout out exactly what the opponent was going for at all, he still responded just fine. Okay, there go to mutas. Here go to Marines, though. Without Bane speed, this is not a very easy army to kill, unless he just steps very deep onto the creep. I don't know if that's a great idea. These units do have Stimpak. Okay, let's see. This should be pushed back. At the same time, though, the mutas, they're gonna go to the 3rd base first. Okay. So soO probably realized he got, like, you know, quote-unquote scouted, and he still finds a weakness right here in the armor of the Terran. There's no way you can reliably make that call, soO. Like, okay, he still kills 10 SCVs, which kind of justifies going for this opener, but there's no way you could really reliably assume your opponent won't have a missile turret at the 3rd base. I mean, I don't know if he even... No, he didn't go into the main base, he didn't go into the natural either, so he didn't see the missile turrets over there. He just got a little bit lucky. Maybe not my favorite opener here from soO, but hey, so far it seems to be working for him. There are gonna be Evo chambers here. Super duper late. Like, these upgrades are gonna be so late. Anyhow. Terran's still kind of roaming the map. Cure a little bit indecisive, it seems. I can't believe he found a base that he could still harass. That's so funny. He didn't even check the natural or the main. All it took, by the way, from Cure was just one missile turret, but I guess he's like, yeah, no. It's kind of like what Zerg players do against Protoss, right? They're like, okay, I've got to get spores in 2 out of 3 bases, and that'll be it. This move over here is not ideal, though. Yeah. 2 mutas end up going down there, but a lot of bio units, too. And despite the relatively shaky and vulnerable opener, soO actually does grab an advantage. Alright, gold base is going to finish up pretty soon as well. Widow mines are going to be burrowed, so this is that moment where Terran is likely not going to be able to do that much. You can try and move out. You can try and go for like a medevac drop if you want to. The problem is that the muta count is quite high, and if you get caught... You know, if you lose 2 full medevacs at this stage in the game, it's pretty much game over. You can't really lose an additional 20 supply. One thing I do really like, though, for Mr. Cure here is the fact that he's got those double upgrades, right? So... He's going for 2-2 already, significantly before the Zerg's 2-2. I mean, 1-1 is only halfway done right here for soO, which is, yeah, a really good situation for Cure to be in. The upgrades are, of course, very important for timing attacks, so I imagine the next big move out right here from Cure, unless he goes right now, would be when 2-2 finishes. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to not push for that lead. Second factory coming up as well. Gonna allow him to pump out a lot of Widow Mines. There's one thing that... Oh, God. There's one thing that these Widow Mines are really good at. It's like literally every single one of those Zerg units. So making a lot of Widow Mines, definitely not a bad idea. We are gonna go for a 4th command center too before adding on additional barracks. We are currently on... How many barracks? 5 of them in total, yeah. So either you go for the 6th, 7th, and 8th barracks, so you add on 3 more, or you go for that command center instead. This is a more macro-focused approach, and I think it does make sense. This does mean, though, that Zerg is given a bunch of time, right? So Zerg can kind of just do whatever they like here for the time being, and apparently what soO likes to do at this point is just macro up. He's putting creep tumors all over the map, trying to spread wherever he can. Yeah, he's just trying to keep the Terran pushed back. Not really trying to, like, aggressively jump into the bases either. We haven't really seen him attempt, like, a Widow Mine... snipe, or like, careful there, there's a couple over there too. We also haven't really seen him trying to go for like, careful, careful, careful! Okay then. We haven't really seen him trying to go for a Baneling roll by either, right? There's a couple of moves that I'd like to see. Anyways, apparently Cure was brave enough right there to send a medevac full of units towards the main base of the Zerg. It's a one-way trip for these bad boys, but they signed up for it and they realized what they were in for. Now the Terran army starts moving. So, 2-2 is done. Cure does have an awful lot of units. This is where he needs to trigger his, like, inner Björn, right? He needs to play his inner Clem right now, because he needs to be on point with the micro. This is a Marine Widowmine army. Good splits so far. Very nice splits. Beautiful concave over there as well here by the Terran player. There's a lot of creep over here. Getting rid of those tumors is super important. Drilling Claws just about to finish up too, so this is going to hit like a truck. Okay, let's see. With good micro, I think Cure can easily win this battle. Well, easily. Maybe not the right word, but... Okay, there's a lot of units coming in from the side. He is kind of clumped up right now, trying to micro these units off creep, and there's way too much Zerg. Way too much Zerg. There's still Widow Mines, though, sprinkled around the map. Okay, that was a massive hit. That dealt about as much damage as the entire Terran army. Okay, he's going to be forced to now sit back, try and defend. Maybe this is the moment, though, where Su wants to get a little bit more aggressive. Now finally getting some Banelings into that Terran army. Okay, the Thor over here, though, deals a lot of damage. At the very least, bruising up a lot of those Zerg units. And obviously, it tanked a lot of damage, too. While that was happening, Cure did secure a 4th base, too. I like the fact that he went triple Widowmine, triple Missile Turret over here and a bunch of Widowmines, too. Just trying to keep this base alive to the best of his abilities. Okay. So what are we gonna do from here? So there is an infestation pit coming up. I don't really like the way that Su, at the very least strategically, is playing this game, if I'm being honest with you. Like, there's a lot of risk. He's kind of like playing blackjack, you know? He's already hit 17 and he's like, yes, dealer, hit me again. And he just happened to get a 3 or a 4, right? Like, but it's... it's not a great idea. Like, it's all very risky. And I'm a little afraid that we are like 2 bad Widowmine connections away from this being an absolute Terran, you know, masterclass. Maybe I'm mistaken, but it seems all a little bit aimless, right? So it's just Mutiling Bane. He's kind of relying on the Terran player to step on creep and then hoping for a good connection? Is that the goal? Anyways. Cure. Constantly improving. One thing I would like to see him do is add on a Ghost Academy. One of the most likely transitions from here would be Hive Tech, right? So the Hive is coming up right now. Mutiling Bane into Ultra was the gold standard when this style was popular. So maybe going into Ultras is something he should expect. Look at Brenda over here. She's the most popular queen ever. All of the other Zerglings and Banelings love her. That's what happens when you right-click the entire army on one unit. They all start chasing it around. Anyways. Here goes the Terran once more. He is going to go for 3-3, obviously. He's finishing up in just a little bit. This fight takes place before 3-3 is done, which I don't really like too much. Okay. Yeah, so I think Su mostly is just trying to rinse and repeat here. He's going for the base at the 12 o'clock. The fact that he managed to sneak out a Hive, though, is really quite nice. If you can afford the 3-3 upgrades as well as Adrenal Glands, he can continue playing this style. I like this, though, for Cure. So Cure is going to finish up his double upgrades here, which is going to make his army substantially more powerful. There's 3-3 for the Zerg as well as Adrenal. There's the Ultra Cavern. Okay. Right now we are at a Muta count, though, that is going to, yeah, be able to take care of those missile turrets relatively easily. This is a very old school way of playing. And with old school, I mean like 2018, okay? Maybe 2019. It's not bad, right? But it's all just a little outdated. It's like when your mom reaches out to you and she's like, have you heard of this great new app called TikTok? And you're like, Mom, are you... Anyways. Double Ultra Cavern? Double Ultra Cavern? Okay, so the reason we don't see Ultras is primarily because of the Terran counters. Both Liberators as well as Ghosts are really good. Haha, high-sec auto-tracking. Denied. Maybe it's a misplay? Maybe he thought he didn't already add one on? Anyways, once again, stellar defense right here from Cure, though. Cure is really solid when it comes to defending his bases. No, he's actually going double upgrades. Oh my god, what? Is this him just trying to, like, make a mistake not look like one? So real quick, this upgrade over here, chitinous plating, is super important. It's additional armor for the Ultras. Without it, it's pretty much a useless unit. However, the other upgrade is a movement speed off creep, which is good, don't get me wrong, but it's not nearly as important as the... Like, I don't know if you want to go double... I think it's a mistake. I'm pretty sure it's a mistake. Anyway, I'm going to make the assumption, since I'm a caster, that he planned this all in advance, and it's been 15 minutes of him finally leading up to watch the double Ultralisk Cavern play, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Anyways, amazing decision-making here from Sue. Curie's doing that Terran thing where they're like, no, I don't need the counter. Like, you know what, like, Bjorn does from time to time, where he just refuses to make anything but Marines and Medivacs? I think going Ghost is a great idea. I also think Liberators are not a bad choice. For some reason, though, Curie's like, no, I'm just gonna sit around on literally the same units I'm already making. So, there is finally the Ghost Academy coming up. Okay. I'm just saying, if this was Maru, I think Maru would probably have already taken this base. He would have a planetary fortress over there in the choke point, a planetary over here in the choke point, and he'd be turtling up trying to make about 50 ghosts, right? That's the way Maru would be approaching this right now. Trying to not take any damage, not lose to anything stupid. And I do think that overall is the best approach. Anyways, here we go. The Ultras are here. The Swarm has arrived. 3-3 is done right here for those units too, so that advantage that Cure has built for himself over the course of this game is now no longer there, because you can't go 4-4. Anyways. Yeah, Ultras, when they get into the battle, they're actually really quite sick. The main problem with Ultras is that they half the time never get into the battle. They spend a lot of time derping around to getting stuck on Zerglings and struggling to get past the Banes and all that. But when they actually do get into the fight, they're actually quite sick. Most of the time, though, we already see them blown up at that point by the Ghosts. So there's the Ghosts finally coming up. A little bit stubborn here from Cure. Not transitioning into those. Man, Cure versus Sue is also a matchup that could have literally happened in like 2013. They're playing like it is. Like, you know it's a modern game because we're playing on Blackburn. But honestly, this, like, strategically speaking, and like decision-making wise, it really does feel, and also because of the player names, it really does feel like a bit of an older game. Were Widow Mines already a thing in 2013? I believe so. It's kind of hard to imagine a game without Widow Mines. I remember very clearly when both Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void came out, and there were these new units added into the game, like the Lurker and the Ravager and the Disruptor, and, you know, there's a bunch of units that we... Even the Liberator, right? Was the Liberator there in Wings of Liberty? I think it got added later. Anyways, there's a bunch of units that are like absolute core mechanics in all of the races right now, and we just, yeah, didn't have those when StarCraft 2 first released. Did you know that just like in StarCraft 1, when Wings of Liberty first came out, you had to research siege mode? So you had to build it, you had to research it rather, inside of the factory, and then after a little while you could finally siege up your tanks. Anyways, pretty crazy stuff. Here we go once again. Cure trying to just brute force his way through the center of these Terran bases, and now finally he's getting some really good connections. The ghost count is not that big. The ghosts also weren't used to gun down the Ultras. Okay, now finally a snipe is gonna come down. That Ultra pops like a... I don't know. What do you pop like? It pops really fast is what I'm getting at. Like a balloon? Nah, I guess Ultras aren't really balloons, right? Nah. Overlords are balloons. Maybe not as exciting. I would like to see snipe being used on Overlords, just for the memes. We're going a lot of Ultras here. How many Ultras have already died? 7? We're doing 6 more. I thought all the Zergs at the pro level collectively decided not to make Ultras anymore because they are pretty bad. But I guess if the ghost count isn't that big... Yeah, there's only 5 ghosts at this point. I mean, he's adding on a couple more here and there. He's maxed out, so he can't add on anymore at this point, but... Why are we adding on 5 Marauders and 5 more Marines? I really feel like upping the ghost count is the way to go. Anyways. We'll fight through the choke point once again. Nice moves right here by Cure. Cure, by the way, is 1 base down. This Expo right here at the bottom is soon going to be quite important. Zerg has been mining the 12 o'clock position for quite some time. The fact that these rocks are, by the way, still up as well is also kind of crazy, right? Su is kind of out of money here to continuously make these moves. He was very rich just a little bit ago, but he's got a ton of Ultras right now. Ultras get absolutely sniped here, but... I mean, when they get into the battle, they do deal a lot of damage. Cure now falling back to the safety here of the Planetary Fortress. Widow Mines are trying to take out whatever they can. Good control right there on the Mutas. SCV's not repairing there for quite some time. It looks like the Ultras, together with the Mutas, though, will be able to eventually bring that Planetary Fortress down. Okay, another Ultra ends up getting picked off. I think that Su actually is doing this. These are some of the absolute riskiest fights ever. Like, the guy is running Ultras into Widow Mines, into like a Sim City of the Terran here. He's running units into the army of the Terran player, and it seems extremely risky. I keep thinking that all of those fights are gonna go into the favor of the Terran player, but it seems that Su is slowly starting to get the upper hand here. 13 Ultras lost. He's like, yeah, no worries. Let's make 3 more. Now he's taking the base at the bottom. I think this is where Su is really winning the game, though. By taking the bases all the way at the top and then also at the bottom of the map. Look at the Widow Minefield. Very good stuff right here by Cure. I haven't seen any of the crazy Widow Mine detonations going into the Terran army, but that may have been what happened as well. Where maybe like a bunch of the Widow Mines ended up dealing some friendly fire. Now this is juicy, by the way. Yeah, that Terran income is gonna go through the roof here. I think Cure really should have upped the ghost count a little bit sooner than that. Like he didn't really get the ghost going until quite a late moment in the game anyways. Liberators would also not be a bad choice, by the way. Su is broke, by the way. I've now said, by the way, about a dozen times, but Su doesn't really have any money anymore. Oh, there's a lot of Terran units, though, coming out of the main base. Widow Mines probably want to connect with the Marines over here, okay? Ultra gets stuck right here on one of the Marauders. Muta's still trying to get a lot of damage done. Ultra eventually does get picked off, too. Zerg coming in with as many reinforcements as possible. 3 more Ultras, actually. Okay, he just barely had enough resources for those. He spends his final money on a bunch of Ultras. Those Mutas have been absolutely laying down the law. Man, Su has been fighting now for like 5 minutes straight. Planetary Fortress, Planetary Fortress. He's gonna take care of one of the Ultralisks. Muta's now joining in too. I think going after the SCVs is probably this is an absolute bloodbath. Zerglings trying to take care of whatever they can. Oh my god. Are the Ultras actually doing it? This is in such a stark contrast to the way that someone like Serral plays this matchup, right? Or even Rogue or Dark. Raynor also definitely doesn't play like this. Those guys will make like a dozen lurkers and then move them in and then burrow them right over there and everything dies elegantly and very cleanly over the course of... And Su is like, no, send forth the units. Run to your deaths, my minions. 9 kills right here, by the way, on that Widow Mine. It's just been burrowed over there in the back. Oh my god, there's so many Ultras. Oh god, okay. That's that planetary gone too. The last of the Banelings used right there to blow up that planetary, and eventually, in an absolute bloodbath of a game, where he went double Ultra Cavern, it is Su who obtains the victory. Whew, I can't imagine that game worked out right there for Su. Honestly, it was well played, right? But there were so many gambles. So let's talk about that for a second. It's like he went to the casino and everything just barely worked out for him. So first off, he went for a 2-base Muta opener, which was hard countered by Mr. Cure when he made all of those missile turrets, right? And he went triple CC and all that. And then Su, he like flew the Mutas to the main base and he was like, no, I'm gonna go for the third instead. And then he got like 10 SCV kills because that was the only location without a missile turret. He had absolutely no way of knowing that. It was just a coin flip, right? And he got there. Then he went mass Mutaling Bane against someone who was going double factory Widowmine. There's about 5 dozen moments during that game where one Widowmine could accidentally blow up the entire Zerg army. And for some reason, I think the Widowmines dealt more friendly fire than they did deal damage to the Zerg in some of those battles, which is also something you can technically control if you split up your units really well. But realistically speaking, there's about a 50-50 chance that you just lose the game to Widowmines, right? And then he decides to go double Ultra Cavern. He plays it off, I think, as like, you know, him meaning to go for double Ultra Cavern. He makes a ton of units. Once again, crossing your fingers and hoping that Cure doesn't already have like a bunch of ghosts or liberators hiding in the background. I wouldn't try it at home if I were you. But if I was Su, I would go out and buy a lottery ticket after that game, because that was by no means the cleanest game, but it was a victory. It was a victory and a macro game, and he won that fair and square, but definitely a lot of risk involved. I would like to see him do that exact same thing against Maru. I feel like Maru would absolutely tear him apart. Anyways, Cure, a little bit stubborn in game number 1. Not really banking on the advantage that he made either with like the upgrades and stuff. A little bit greedy by not going for a missile turret at the third base. Not transitioning towards ghosts as quickly as he probably should have. Definitely some room for improvement there. So he's probably not too bothered by that loss. Anyhow, I'm expecting a reactor. Yep. So we can go for the big switcheroo and start pumping out those Hellions 2 at a time. Maybe this is the way that Mr. Su plays now, though. Taking the gambles. Like, I suggest if that's the way you like to play, you switch over to some Hearthstone instead. Maybe a little bit of poker, right? There's still mathematical correct choices you can make. But, it does feel a little risky, not gonna lie. Nice control to Reaper, man. Cure once more, getting 2 Zerglings. This time around, by the way, it's not double inject. It's gonna be a quick third hatchery here from the Zerg. 1 creep tumor laid down, and then, yeah, just a more standard opener. Fair enough. Terran's gone for the triple CC once more. Starport coming up. Yeah, calling it gambling is maybe not entirely fair, though. But it really does feel like it, right? Like, realistically speaking, you can control all of those things if you have, like, 1,000 APM, right? If you're like an artificial intelligence and you can split off the correct amount of units in the right direction and you can scout everything, yeah, sure, it's doable, but feels very risky, not gonna lie. Ooh, all right. 3.5-minute Roach Warren. Second gas coming up. Drones already back in the gas in the main base. Okay. So this is likely gonna be a Roach push. Are we gonna go for the switcheroo right there on the starport and start pumping out Banshees? If he goes blind Banshee, if you're gonna lift up the barracks and do the switcheroo, if he's gonna go blind Banshee, it is really bad for Su. Yep, okay. So there's 2 variants of this opener for Su. One where you go like 8 roaches and then you follow up with Zerglings, and one where you make 8 roaches and you follow up with drones. If he goes for Zerglings as a follow-up, he's gonna go completely all in. And that one gets countered pretty hard by Banshees. I mean, you can still win as Zerg. You can still win. Just kind of hard to pull off. Judging by the fact that he's making 2 more Overlords here, I think he's probably got a Floodlings too. Yep, he is. Okay. So, after a very aggressive game number 1, Su's like, you know what? Let me play some more aggression. Roaches get spotted here as well, by the way, by that one Viking, which is awesome. So he knows right now what he's going up against. Double bunker here. Third CC is gonna land at the third base location. I think going for as many benches as possible is critical. Go, 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 go. Make another one. Hello. Okay, there we go. So the Banshee here has really not got any counters for the Zerg. I mean, Corrosive Biles, I guess, right? Can kind of work out, but let's see. This is a classical Zerg all-in. Very powerful. Nice line of fire right there as well with those Hellions. SCVs already ready to repair, soaking up some of the damage too. Nice movement right here from the Terran player. So far, not really losing anything. I mean, he's losing units, but... yeah, that's perfect. This was so pretty. Nicely done right there by Cure. He did not scout exactly what was going on, but he still held that like an absolute monster of a Terran. I know there's gonna be a lot of Terran players watching. Ooh, look at that. That have lost to that exact Zerg build many times before. That defense right there from Cure was clean. Super easy to accidentally lose there, but you figured it out. Anyways, SCV moving out right as the game started. Second SCV also following it up. Our final game is gonna be on Glittering Ashes for today. Normally we see like proxy barracks right around right over here, or like right over here. I guess, yeah, Cure is gonna go proxy Rex. He's just putting them in a location that's like... okay. Bit of a coin flip too. Yeah, second Overlord. Okay, so the first Overlord is going to the right. Second Overlord here from so is going to the front. So he will scout this. So, what exactly is his move going to be? Hey, now he knows. Immediately halting that Overlord too, right? That was nice. So the Overlord has more vision than those Terran units right here. So so right now is scouting his opponent, but Cure doesn't know that he's been scouted. Very quick reaction speed. Hey, if there's anything though that this series so far has shown us, is that Mr. so still has it. Right? I mean, Game On was a bit of a gamble, but... he doesn't look like someone who's only started playing StarCraft again last month, right? Like, you wouldn't be winning against guys like Cure if you've only been playing again for a couple of weeks. Okay, so those drones were very far away from home. They wanted to take out the SCVs. These drones over here will definitely take out Jimmy. Jimmy got killed by the very thing he swore to destroy. This is buying a lot of time, though. He did put the drones in the gas, interestingly enough. Okay. So normally you don't actually go for gases at this point in the game, but I guess he's like, okay, I guess I've already kind of held this quite well. Don't give away 3 or 4 drones, though. Nope, that's a bad idea. Okay. He's even droning at home. This could actually still hurt. Like, good defense so far here. Ooh. Good defense here so far by so. But this could definitely still be an issue. Creep Tumor first in the natural. Okay, Link Speed has started up. Cure also doesn't really know exactly what he's going up against, right? Like, for all he knows, there could be Zerglings with speed here very soon. It's unlikely, but it's possible. Those 4 drones, I guess, are being zoned away from their base for quite a while. Queen's very far off creep. Yeah, I don't like that. Nice targeting right there by Cure. 2 SCVs running very low. Yeah, until Link Speed is done, you can't really reliably fight those units off creep. So usually sitting on the creep with both the Queens as well as the Zerglings is the go-to answer. And then as soon as Link Speed is done, you can start thinking about surrounding this army. It's not like those Marines can very easily walk onto the creep either, right? I mean, they can walk onto it, but usually it's a one-way trip. Hellion. One Hellion is like, hey, what's up, guys? I actually kind of like it, yeah. If the Hellion can line up the units as well as it did in the previous game, that would be amazing. Anyways, Hellion gets picked off. Marines. Kinda hard to see. Okay, there we go. Yeah, they will end up getting killed as well. And all of this will get shut down. Big picture. We're 1 base Terran, going for a 2nd command center right now. 2 base Zerg, probably going for a 3rd base here pretty soon. Plus, for the foreseeable future, I mean, maybe Cure can go for like a medevac drop or like a, you know, a little bit of play here and there, but there's really not that much that the Terran player can do. So Zerg can just make a bunch of drones and feel pretty good about it. Ready for dust stuff. Yeah, I think a 4 Hellion drop makes sense. Just to try and put on a little bit of pressure, but it's also easily scouted, and it's gonna take a while for those units to get across the map. Yeah, if they can drop off over here, though, and go across the map unscouted, that would actually be... Never mind. Ah, Su is on point. I'm actually really impressed by Su. Like, for many of the guys after... Like, he scouted it just now, too, with that Overlord. For many of the guys after coming back from the military, it took them, like I said, more than a year. Sometimes never got back to their previous skill level, you know? It's good to see that, yeah. Mr. Su already seems to be a competitive player. Roach Warren coming up, by the way. Preparation here in case of Liberators. I do like these 2 Hellions over here, but looks like they also will not be able to go in. This is starting to feel a little bit desperate right now, though, for Cure. Giving away units like that, not quite ideal, although this move over here, okay. You know what? Maybe this can get some damage in. Okay, bunch of drones going down. Oh, they get surrounded right now, too. Okay, so the Hellions also got killed by the very unit they swore to destroy, kind of like Jimmy. Alright, so finally, the orbital command will land on the low ground. 6 minutes into the game, Terran's lost a load of stuff. So did Zerg. But I like this advantage here for Su for sure. Yeah, you got a drone. Let's go. Whoop, get him out of there. Alright, more Hellion aggression. So we have a Roach Warren. Why not make like 3 roaches, my man? Oh, nice micro. There's that. The Viking comes back. Alright. So, +1 plus... Oh, okay. I thought he was going to play roaches. Maybe he's just shown the Roach Warren to his opponent and then goes Mutas. Glittering Ashes is an excellent Muta map. Just because it's huge. 200 gas coming up right now. Yep. Alright, so once more. Muta Ling. Hellions might accidentally end up scouting this. Yep, they will. So that's good. At the very least, these Hellions are not completely wasted. And maybe they'll even get some drone kills. Yeah, 4 drones, not bad. Maybe some more. 6 drones? Yeah, sure. Can we get a 7? I think we will. Alright, so those Hellions right there were actually really quite successful. One thing to note is that Su didn't make a Baneling Nest. But I guess, yeah, Terran's not really gonna go for a heavy marine move here just yet. He does already have Stimp back. He's going Combat Shield right now. He's going +1/+1. This time around, though, it's kind of similar to the very first game that we watched on Blackburn. But this time around, Zerg has the upgrade lead, which really is something I want to hammer home. Ooh. So now he's going Baneling... Okay, he's going Baneling Nest together with a Hydralisk then. So maybe he's gonna go like 1 group of Mutas and then transition towards Lurkers? Or, I don't know, Hydraling Bane? That sounds a little too bit... If you want to go straight into Lurkers, it sounds a little bit too gas heavy. Yeah, not much to do against these sorts of pushes now without Banelings though. Okay, Hellions once again going in. This is starting to become an issue here, Mr. Su. Good moves here by Cure. Finding weaknesses here in the armor of Su. 7 Mutas do finally start up. So why the Hydra then? I don't get the Hydra then. Ooh, nicely done. Cure is in a strange situation in this game, but he's handling it like a champ. The fact that he still doesn't have a 4th base up and running is starting to be an issue. Yeah. Su. Once more. Gonna lose the 4th base, it looks like. I mean, Cure, wake up. Nicely done. Yeah, okay. So, you know what? I actually also love this here from Cure. I guess he's... No, he didn't scout it? He didn't. So, I would imagine, right? So, I'm trying to think what would be the purpose right here of the Mutas. It's probably to force out mass Widow Mine play. And since Hydra's out-of-range Widow Mines, going into a Hydra transition makes sense. But if you look on the other side of the map, Cure is actually pumping out siege tanks. So, he's planning on defending against the Mutas, I guess, with missile turrets and Marines. Which is a great idea here, but... Widow Mines certainly do supplement that quite a bit. He's got the 3rd base up and running right now. It's gonna be Hydroling Bane as a follow-up here from Su. Which is quite cool to see. Not something we normally have, though. I guess Mutas also usually shut down a lot of this drop play, but Cure has been relentless with that regardless of the Mutas. Like, my opponent has full map control. Don't care. Sit in the plane, 8 Marines. I don't care if you're complaining. Get in the plane. Still sends them across regardless. Kinda mean, but it is what it is. There's the drilling clause, though. So he is thinking about making, you know, transition towards some Widow Mines. Bio Army, once again moving across. This time around, Baneling speed and whatnot are all done, though. Yeah, so that's gonna make defending quite a bit easier. If you can just walk up here and siege up the tanks. Okay, nice. I think that base is pretty much dead. He does need to target it down. Okay, no, that base is not gonna happen. At the same time, the drop over here on the left side of the... Yeah, okay, so those Marines that didn't want to go should have listened. You know what we need to? Double Ultra Cavern. I would like you to go Infestation Pit straight into double Ultra Cavern with Hive, man. That's the way. 100%. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Has Cure seen any Hydras yet? No, I think he must have. He probably did with the units right there on the left side. So if that's the case, I don't think you necessarily want to go Drilling Claws and Widow Mines. I think you probably want to maybe have Drilling Claws, but then still just make on more and more siege tanks. So this time around, there is a 4th command center done. And he is going to be able to add on the additional barracks right now. So that's 6, 7, and 8. He's going to be able to pump out a ton of units very quickly. Nicely done right here by Cure. After that awkward early game of his, not really dealing that much damage with the proxy, he's clawed himself back into this game very nicely. He still needs to be careful, though. But I like the spread here. Slowly advancing out on the map. Starting up +3 here. Very nice and early. Considering Zerg was ahead in those upgrades earlier, but he doesn't have a Hive. It's hard for him to actually catch up. Anyways, here comes the Swarm. Su, once again, just pushing those Banelings through the choke point. It seems like such a gamble, man. Not coming in from that many angles either, but it does seem like, once again, it is the right call. Terran gets absolutely shut down. Those siege tanks are gone right now, and apparently that's the moment where maybe Su is even thinking about going straight for the neck. Are we gonna try and go for the juggler here, Mr. Su? Okay. Looks like we're just gonna go for one of the limbs of the Terran instead. No jugular yet, but he's trying his very best. Does take care of the 4th base of the Terran, though. And now he, once again, I guess, will back off, right? Will he back off? I mean, Su is very hard to predict. He's no longer maxed out, so I'd imagine he backs off right now, but... Yeah, Su is an absolute madman. He's tasted blood once. Now he can't stop. He's just idling his army off creep in the middle of the map. Gets 4 siege tanks. Not a problem. Alright, I do think it's about time to go back home though, dude. I don't want to, you know, tell you what to do, but... Fighting on creep, believe it or not, very good. Having additional movement speed and stuff, and vision, very nice. Yeah, yeah. I don't think Cure wants to go this deep. Cure, by the way, still has a very healthy amount of supply. Doesn't have a whole lot of economy anymore, though. Muta's just trying to be as annoying as they possibly can be, but for the most part, they've been forgotten about. Alright. Terran units even being stimped right now to reinforce his army a little bit quicker. Now Su is setting up what seems to be a surround. I would love to see some Zerglings over there too, but once again he decides to collapse on top of his Terran army. Is there enough Terran to push this all back? Siege tanks get absolutely murdered. And I think Su has done this. Yeah, I think he's done it. There come the Mutas once again. Man. I was thinking, right, with Su coming back, I could take some of his decision-making, maybe, and some of his strategies, and then implement it in my own games. But honestly, this seems like one of those things where you, like, have to just be very good in order to execute it. And it almost seems like he's making it harder on himself than it really needs to be, if that makes sense. Like, constantly pushing off creep into sieged-up tanks, through choke points, and somehow, some way, he's making it happen. Like, none of these fights are usually what we see Zerg players do. But I guess Su has a really good feel for the current shape of the game and the amount of army that his opponent can possibly have at this point if he's been stuck on certain economy. Yeah, and there it is. GG is called. Cure just lost 2-1 against Su.